my calendar. Yes, no, we don't. We'll be fine.
Okay.
All right.
You're live.
Good morning. Good morning. We are live.
People coming in, numbers jumping up.
Yeah, there we go. I was looking at the chat. That's why I didn't see anything. All right, here we go. We are live. We are live. Excellent, excellent. We're going to let everybody file in here. We have close to about 30 people registered today for today's class, which is by far our biggest FPA media source class ever. I guess we can contribute that to it being done virtually. So welcome everybody. Welcome as everybody files in. Hello, Wallace. Hello, Tyler. Hello, Rebecca. Hello, everybody. All of our attendees filing in. Hello, Carlos. Hey, bud. Kristen, howdy. Excellent, excellent. We're filing in. Give everybody another minute before we go ahead and get started. Because if I recall correctly, I think us letting you guys in, I think it might be a manual process. I'm not sure. So, as Monica adds everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Hi, everyone. Everyone wants their 15 minutes. That's right, Wallace. Everyone wants their 15 minutes. Oh, boy. All right, great. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Malik Lee, and I am the 2020 president for FPA of Georgia. Welcome to our one of many monthly webinars. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. We're enjoying it. We love bringing you this fresh content. Today is a very special meeting. Today, this is by far my favorite benefit of FPA. I say this all the time, but unfortunately, I feel that sometimes it comes on deaf ears because I think that people are not really taking advantage of this as much as they should. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to share with you a quick PowerPoint. Let's see here. And if everyone can, hopefully everyone can see my screen. I can see you, Brad. So give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen, Brad. There you go. Awesome. So today, boosting your media visibility, maximizing FPA media source in your business and also in your brand. You know, we're going to be talking about branding and everything here today. So there we go. So I know we have about 3 or 4 guests on the call today. It's very important. It's important. You're going to get some great information that you can use interchangeably anywhere you go. But for you to be able to get the FPA inquiries, which is important, it helps navigate through all the noise that's out there for media and all the sharks that's trying to sell you times and slots and things of that nature. If you want to get it for free, you have to become an FPA member. So if you're not a member, make sure you reach out to us so that we can get you signed up. But here are some of the benefits that we have. Our FPA annual conference. We're going to talk about the media source today. If you're new in the career, or if you're new to the industry, or new in building your career itself, FPA Next Gen is great. We talk about the FPA residency and FPA pro bono. We have one of the best pro bono the chapters in the country. So if you're looking to give back, you're looking to connect with your community, we're a place that we can definitely get that done for you. We want to thank all of our partners, Community Foundation, Fairway, HyperChat, Charles Schwab, Thrivent, Benefit Street, DPL, Heinz, T. Rowe Price, TD Ameritrade, Vanguard, and My 529s. I personally give everybody a shout out because without these partners right here, this will be a very, very tough year. So they believe in you, we believe in them. Make sure you reach out to them, ask them some questions, hear about some of their products, some of their offerings. They are investing in us, so we should do the same. Some quick housekeeping. The questions during the meeting, if you have them, type them into the box. I'm not sure. Hey, Brad, do you want to answer them while you're live, or you want to wait to the end?
That's fine. We can start taking them as we go along. If we start to get bogged down and everything, we can put them off to the end. And I can stay on as long after the end as you need me to as well.
Awesome, man. Spoken like a true CFP, fiduciary. He's making sure he take care of you guys. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a question and answer box. Put the question inside of there. I'll read it to Brad. I'll jump in. I'm gonna be here along the way, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be there with you guys. Also, if you want to answer it verbally to kind of make us feel like we're doing stuff in person. I know we're sick and tired of talking to the box here in front of us. So raise your hand. Monica will unmute you. We'll let you answer your question. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick and tired of talking to myself. That's what it kind of feels like sometimes up here. All right. So before we get started with the meeting, we want to highlight one of our sponsors. And our sponsor today is DPL Partners, Financial Partners, Ross McGoodwin, and those guys are awesome. They've been partners now, I probably want to say 3 or 4 years, maybe when they first started the company. I remember talking to Ross at our annual conference. Amazing group of guys, amazing folks there. They have about a 70-second video for us, and I want to play it for you guys. And if you just bear with me, give us 1 second here, and we'll play that video.
My name is Ross McGoodwin, and I'm a consultant with DPL Financial Partners. When I'm talking with advisors, a lot of them like to point out that in the past, insurance and annuity products have always been expensive, always had surrender charges, and why can I work with these products now? What's changed? Well, the reality is that these carriers have actually removed, in a lot of situations, a lot of unnecessary fees and surrender charges that simply no longer need to be there without the presence of a commission. These solutions have been restructured, rebranded for the RA space, and there's really never going to be a surrender charge or liquidity restriction unless maybe it's a fixed product or something where the insurance carrier needs a little more duration behind the scenes. Here at DPL, we're going to make sure you're comfortable with the changes on these solutions and how they've really been restructured to fit that fiduciary model and implementation. Over 20 different carriers, we work with them to rebuild products, to find different solutions that are going to be better fits for your clients and educate you on when they're going to be the best possible implementation for the financial plan. If you'd like to learn more about DPL and how I work with advisors, feel free to schedule some time on my calendar.
Thank you, DPL. Amazing partnership that we have. They have an amazing company. I'm pretty sure once the pandemic passes, you'll be able to shake their hands because they've been some tremendous partners for us. All right. Oh, so a quick announcements. Join us on July 24th. That's our next webinar. We're going to be providing CFP ethics. This is by far usually our biggest quarterly meeting class. We usually have over 100 in attendance. So I'm pretty curious to see how many people are gonna join virtually, since you can do it from the comfort of your home. So we're gonna have Barney Kirshner. She's back by popular demand. She's amazing. She has a unique story. Talks about how she was married and her husband was running a Ponzi scheme under her nose. You can't get more ethics than that, right? So so join us July 24th as we introduce ethics to you. All right, so before I introduce Brad, I want to make another quick announcement. Oh, it's not letting me do it here. Hold on 1 second. I want to show you guys something else here. We have another event. This is a brand new flyer. I just got it in my inbox today. So this is on Thursday, August 13th, we're doing a virtual FPA diversity event, first time ever. It's called Diversity is Not Just for Your Investments. It's going to be a TED Talk, fireside chat kind of format. We have some amazing hosts, as you can see on the bottom. We have Kate Howerton, I think won the FPA Diversity of the Year. We have Keith Kim, Carlos Guzman's on the board. We have Gary Clement, who actually either he just got his doctorate from UGA or he's about to get it in like 30 days or so. And he just accepted a position to teach financial planning at Alabama University. We have Emma Folks and myself. I'm just going to be doing the introduction and stepping out the way. And then we have Wayne Ewing, one of our T. Rowe Price sponsors, and they're going to be sponsoring this event as well. We're just, we're not experts, we're not professionals at it, but we're not afraid to talk about it. So that's what we're going to do. And on Thursday, August 13th, everyone is free, members and guests. And we're raffling off. You can see it on the bottom there. I'm afraid to zoom in. I don't want to mess anything up. But if you look at the bottom there, we're raffling off a $500 membership to our chapter, the FPA of Georgia. So make sure you guys can attend. Let's see here, and let's go back to this. All right. That was smoother than I thought it was going to be. All right, so now let's introduce Brad. Let's get to what we're here to do today. So Brad serves as Director of Financial Planning at New England Financial Planning Group in Burlington, Massachusetts, where he leads the Research Planning and Implementation Division. Hey Brad, you went out you started a new company, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the old bio.
Yeah, that's the old bio. That's the old
all right.
bio.
Yeah.
That's the old bio. And so, Brad, what's the name of your new company, real quick?
Yeah, Launch Financial Planning as of May 1st.
Launch Financial Planning as of May 1st. So his financial advice is off. I want to make sure we get that right. We're all planners here, so I want to make sure we get it right. So his financial advice is often quoted in the media, contributes to Boston ABC affiliates, Mix 104.1's New England's lifestyle show. Brad is often a frequent guest of Fortune 500 companies with TV and radio. The amazing thing and the cool thing about Brad is that he's going to teach us about how to do the FPA media source, but then he's also a former media person himself. He serves as a member on the Massachusetts Broadcasting Association, and the coolest part about him, I'm telling you guys, this is why I called him in here. When I saw this on his bio, I was like, I want this guy here. So he's also the official Emmy Awards voter for the Television Academy. And how cool is that, right? How cool.
Right. When they thank the Academy, that's me.
So Brad earned his bachelor's of arts from American University, graduated with distinction from UCLA's personal financial planning program. And without further ado, Brad Wright.
Malik, thank you very much. I will I'll let you stop sharing, and then I'll start to share mine.
There you go.
Part of the Zoom coordination here. Let's see, screen 2. And
there you go. I see it.
Everything.
I see it. There you go.
All right. So everything's good. You see that the guy with the mic on the screen?
I can see it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, as Malik said, I just, in the middle of a pandemic, decided to launch a firm. A lot of questions about the timing on that, but it's actually worked out well because we're finding everybody needs answers at this point, whether it's their own finances, their risk allocation, the CARES Act, the Secure Act, whatever it is, there's questions. And because of the media, because of my media visibility, I'm actually easy to find. So that's definitely something we'll talk about today. This is boosting your media visibility and primarily to be able to use the FPA media source. So we'll talk about how to best prepare for an interview, how to perform while maintaining your poise and your reputation, the difference a little bit between print and electronic, which is the TV and radio. And know that this is the requirement to participate in the FPA media source. So once you get through this training, which by the way, is usually in person. It's usually 2 hours and a lot more interactive. So it's a little bit more condensed. Usually we bring in working media professionals too as part of a panel discussion. But it's condensed today. You still get the required information, and we will turn in your names at the end of this for participating in this. And as long as you're a member in good standing of the FPA and you're a CFP, your inbox will start to fill up, as Malik can attest to as well, with media queries. And that's really what we're here to discuss today. So feel free to put questions in the chat as we go along. We'll try to get to those as we go along. And as I said earlier, I'm here at the end and I'll leave you my information too. So if you want to email me after a question comes up later, or you're not sure about something, then feel free. So I thought the best way to start is I put together, I'm also, by the way, I'm the president of the FPA of Massachusetts chapter this year. So, so helping to run the chapter up here as well. So I have known that organization of chapters to get together as well for a little while. So what I did when this is a couple of years ago now, before I was on the executive committee here in our chapter, I ran the PR and marketing department, chaired that department. And what I did was really tried to get our members out there, try to get them trained, try to get them to understand what media is looking for, and to try and get them out there, TV, print, radio, and all that. And I think one of the benefits I bring to this is, in a former career, I was a TV and radio host, mostly in Los Angeles, a little bit in Boston as well. So I've sat on both sides of the table. I've been the media looking for the experts, and now I'm the expert looking to be found by the media. So I think I can speak from experience from both sides of the table today, which makes things probably a little bit different. So I thought I'd start with the goal. So this is the goal that we're trying to get you to be able to achieve. This is sort of 1 year of highlights of successes that our Massachusetts chapter had.
Here now to talk about this is president of Friedman Financial, Peabody, Massachusetts, and certified financial planner, Mark Friedman.
We need to try to figure out a way to communicate with mom how best to help her understand the finances that she's accumulated so that she's making smart decisions.
John Napolitano, Financial Planner of the Year, according to the Financial Planning Association of Massachusetts, visited the Bloomberg 1200 studios in Boston today. He talked about looming tax deadlines.
Well, everyone gets a little freaked out by the April 15th deadline, which, by the way, because there's a holiday in D.C. on the 15th, is actually the 18th in many states, the 19th in Mass, thanks to Patriots Day.
WBZ News Radio 1030. Our guest is Eric Roberge, certified financial planner, to try to have people define their dream and get to it.
Well, yeah, just understanding what you actually want in your life and then helping yourself use your money as a tool.
Hi, I'm Brad. Welcome to How Well Do You Know Your Money? What is a 529 plan?
A 529 plan, I have no idea.
For the 401k, it's too late. The year's over. But for IRAs, SEPs, things that are, personal retirement plans, you can contribute up until April 15th or the 18th or the 19th.
Sort of use it as a membership push too, and as Malik mentioned on the introduction, it really is one of the great benefits of the FPA is you don't need experience, and next thing you know, you can actually be a financial planning media expert. So how do you get there? That's what we're going to talk about, and it all starts with really creating your digital footprint. It's how the advertisers find you. You go online and you look up a shirt or a pair of pants. Next thing you know, every time you're online, you're getting commercials for those pants or shirts or shoes or whatever it is. It's the same thing. It works this way too. The advertisers find you that way. Now you want the media professionals and potential clients to be able to find you. So to increase your search results, you need to be out there more. You need to have your website, your name, everything out there more. It's also a way in this day and age to get out of your home during a pandemic. You can't go meet people really generally, large groups anyway, in person. You can't be doing seminars. You can't be doing anything like that. So how do people find you? Well, through the media that you can actually do from your home now. It will increase at the rate people find you. So you need to create a digital footprint, and this can help you, if you haven't already started to do that, to start to do that. Here are some of the successes, I guess, nationally that the FPA has had. CNBC, I see members on there all the time. CNN, which is right in your backyard in Atlanta. Money, there's also, these are more national, Wall Street Journal, but I see people all the time posting on LinkedIn or other social media that they've been in, local and regional media too, whether it's, for us, the Boston Globe, or you know, any kind of local patch publications or anything like that. There's ample opportunity to get into those as well. And, you know, don't get overwhelmed. Yeah, there have been 4,000 queries sent out and 1,200 members have participated so far. That number is probably much higher at this point. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to be noticed and you're not going to be able to stand out. And we'll talk about a little bit how you can do that and get noticed and be utilized as well. So it's never too late to start. And again, you don't really need a ton of experience to get started. So we'll go through the media query system. We'll show you an example coming up, and I'll give you a little bit of my process on how to have success. Here are just some quotes from different journalists and outlets who have used the FPA media resource. It's great for them. I mean, it's really one-stop shopping. They just fill out a media query, and you know, we have 25,000 national FPA members. I'm not sure how many are media trained, but it goes out to all the media trained people. So for sure, it's easy for them to write their multiple articles in a day or a week or however often they have to do it, and to be able to get quotes and input. You'll see Malik on here as a member who has had success with this. And I was, you know, I'd see Malik online all the time. He's posting something that he's either written or been quoted in all the time on LinkedIn. And that's really what this is about. You want to get to a point where, yes, this media query system is going to help you get started, and you should be trying to answer as many as you can to try and get going, to get your footprint going. But there'll probably come a time where you'll be Malik and you'll say, I'm getting way too many of these and I can't pay attention to all of them. And you know, that's a great place to be. Also, with Malik's success down in your area, feel free to not to give him more to do, but you know, if you have a question down there too, I'm sure he would be able to answer it for you. So the FPA media source, basically how it works is this way. So the first step you're going to, after you get through this training, we're going to turn in all the names of people who have participated to Ben Lewis. He's the National PR Director for the Financial Planning Association. And he is going to, in turn, it might take a couple of days, he's going to email you the FPA Media Participation Agreement. Again, as long as you're an FPA member in good standing, you're a CFP, and you've gone through this training, you qualify. You sign off on the agreement that he sends you, and that's it as far as FPA. Then it's up to the media outlets for how soon after that they start to have stories where they need quotes. That's how it starts. This is what, you don't see this side. This is what the journalist is gonna fill out on their end. So they're gonna fill out, you'll see their name, you'll see their outlet. You won't see their phone number or their email address. You're just gonna get a submit button. And then they're gonna write, you know, this is so-and-so, CNBC, I'm doing a story on the PPP loans. Has anybody received one in their business or their clients? What can you tell me about it? Or maybe there's a specific question about it. Then that's what you'll get. That's what they sign and send out, and this is what you get. So this is what shows up in your email box. Again, sometimes it seems to be either all or nothing. It's either nothing or you're getting, 5 or 10 a day. So this is what you'll get, and there's a respond now button. They come and go in phases, and how you're just gonna click the respond button, then I'll show you what comes of that. Something to be clear on though is if you need to check with compliance before you respond to one of these, do it before you respond to one of these, because once you respond, they can actually use what you write as is, and there's no chance to go back to compliance at that point, which by the way is one of the reasons I branched off from a hybrid firm to start my own completely independent firm, because it just takes the broker dealer so long to 2 and 3 days, and you miss deadlines at that point. But maybe that's not the case for wherever you are. Maybe you can come to some sort of agreement that they'll do same day turnaround. Whatever it is, contact somebody in your compliance department if you need to, and make sure you get the go ahead before you start responding. So this shows up in your email box, and when you click the respond button, this is what's going to pop up. So it's already going to have your information in there. It's going to have your name, where you work, your area, and that you're a CFP. And then it's going to have a box for you to put in your initial thoughts. Now, it says up to 500 words, don't use 500 words. It's way too long. You're there to solve a problem. You're there to keep it simple, short, sweet, and to the point. A little more than a soundbite. Really, you want to give them enough to be able to use it if they just need a quick quote, or to make them want more. So if they're doing a longer article and they liked what you wrote, maybe they're going to either email you back or they're going to call you. They're going to try and set up a time relatively quickly to be able to speak to you further on whatever it is you wrote. So don't write 500 words all at once. Otherwise, actually, it's going to look like this. When they get it back, it's going to look like this. And it's just a ton of information for them to go through. I mean, maybe it's all relevant, but you know, mostly it's going to be extra stuff that they don't need. So get to the point, have an opinion, get to the point, and give them, you know, your background information or any kind of stats, data, anything you need. You can put a little bit of that in there too. And just it's a little more than a tease. It's a little more than a promo for yourself, so that they, again, can either put in the quote as is, or they are going to call you to expand on that and give you more information. So that's what it looks like as far as the FPA media query system as a result of the journalists, what they see, what they put in, what you get, and what it looks like when you respond. And so once you hit submit, after you write your 500 words, it's gone, it goes. And you may not hear from them ever again, and they may not use it. Or you may hear from them, or you may not hear from them and they may use it. So just keep track of what you're submitting to. And what I normally do is, you know, if the deadline's tomorrow, I'll wait, you know, 3 days and I'll start searching for the article. Chances are you're going to find the article, and then you just read through it and you'll be able to see if you were actually quoted or not. A lot of the times, if you are quoted, they're going to let you know, and they're going to send you a link because, you know, they want clicks and they want reads too, and they want you to be able to promote it. So everyone working together really is how this works best. So that's how it looks. Now really it's about how to make the best of the opportunity. It's best practices. Mostly we'll deal on the print side first, and then we'll get a little bit into the electronic, which is the TV and the radio. And Malik, if there are any questions up there, feel free to chime in.
Sure will. Right now you're fine. Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So guys, if you have questions, you feel free to open them, to ask them freely.
The first thing to keep in mind is deadlines are always shorter than advertised. I know this from sitting on that side of the table and needing to get stories or interviews or whatever it is I'm working on done. So if you get something in your inbox today that says deadline is, you know, Friday at 5, if they get enough response by the end of today and they can start writing their story, they're done. Yes, it will remain open and they'll still keep receiving the submissions, but they may already have the story written at that point. Or they may glance through them, and if there's something completely different than what they've already received, maybe they'll look at it. But the quicker you can get your response in, always the better. Because also keep in mind that multiple people most likely are thinking along the same lines as you. So if you're the first in with whatever your opinion is, that's always going to be better. So again, you know, I realize that in a lot of cases it's a compliance issue. Can you actually turn it in same day? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But just know, yes, be prompt, and the sooner you can get your thoughts in, the better. And once the deadline passes, by the way, the submit button will no longer work. So you know that the submission time is over. Have an opinion. I can't stress that more. You know, I do a lot of work for the ABC affiliate here in Boston, Channel 5 here in Boston. And, you know, I've heard them, they'll come to my office sometimes, or sometimes I'll go there. But I've heard them talking to fellow coworkers of mine, and they said, look, Brad's easy to work with, and he always has a different take. And that's really the name of the game, both of those. You need to be super easy to work with, and I'll talk about that in dealing with the process. But you also have to have a different take. You know, for example, there are always stories on Roth conversions. Why, someone might send out, why should we consider a Roth conversion? You know, and most people are going to reply, or at least a handful of people are going to say, well, to reduce your RMDs now at age 72. You don't have to take an RMD out of that. It's great. Other people might say, Well, if you're young, you have a long runway and it can grow tax-free and come out tax-free. And, you know, if tax rates are going to come out, that's going to be great. So you pretty much know you're going to get those answers. So how would you be original? What if you disagreed? What if you said, I don't think Roth conversions are a good idea for whatever your reason is? I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think that you want to pay the tax now, or whatever it is. That will stand out. Something like that will stand out if you disagree with whatever they're trying to do. Now, don't do it in a negative way. You know, it's more like, well, that's one opinion, but here's another way to look at it, would be a way to address it, as opposed to, that's a dumb idea. But be original in your thoughts and just try to think a little bit outside the box, because that will help you get noticed. So Prince, the singer Prince, died without a will, died without a trust, died without any kind of estate planning. There was a big battle, and I think it was a stepsister or a half-sister, somebody ended up gaining control of the estate, and she can do whatever she wants with it. She can license the music, she can give tours of the recording studio, whatever she wants to do. If someone writes a story, if someone's looking for a story on why estate planning is, you know, good to look at as part of your financial planning, something like that would paint the picture. Something topical, something relevant. Maybe, you know, a few years has passed since that. Maybe it's not as relevant now, but there are always celebrities that are passing away without estate plans. I'm sure you can find one. Prince is obviously somebody, an entertainer that most people will recognize, and it paints the picture, as opposed to saying, well, because then the state's going to decide what happens. So instead of just saying that, you tell the Prince story, and you get what happens that way. Also, personal stories. You know, I don't know. GE is a big company that moved from Connecticut to Boston. And about 9 months ago, they decided they were going to end their pension. So they were offering former employees pension buyouts. So Channel 5 wanted to do a story on, is it a good idea? Should I take the lump sum or should I not, and eventually take the monthly check? Well, I've talked to many people who have had 2 or 3 jobs that have had pensions, which is an oddity in itself these days. And they've left those jobs and they've been offered the same thing, and they've taken the lump sum and they've blown through the pension money. They've gone through all the money. It's gone. And now they're in this job telling me, what should I do this time? Well, as a financial planner, you should probably take the monthly check. But telling a story like that also paints the picture. You know, should we take it or should you not? Well, you could say, well, if you're likely to spend it, then, you know, maybe you shouldn't take it. Versus telling a story, hey, I talked to this guy, you can make up a name, make up a first name, and don't reveal anybody, and tell a story about what happened in your practice or in your travels, to speaking to companies or whatever it is that you do. And a story like that is likely to gain traction, and again, paints the picture on the information you're trying to get across. Also, this is a tough one. Try to get a client to chime in. That's a compliance issue on its own. But I did that once. You know, after the 2016 election, when President Trump was first elected, all of a sudden everybody was doing stories on, oh my God, are people looking into socially responsible investing now because of the election? And it was actually happening. We were getting calls about it because of that. And they wanted to talk to a client that was all of a sudden interested in this and why and that sort. And we were able to find one. And she was more than happy to do it. But it's a process to be able to get compliance to do that. But, and you don't get a lot of requests for this, but you do. I would say every couple of months, I see one in the media query system that says, you know, if you have a client or a family member that wants to talk about whatever the subject is, we'd love to talk to them. So if you have somebody, that's great. If you're willing to deal with the process to do it, the journalist will definitely appreciate it. Backup, you don't always need data, you don't always need graphs, but if you have some to back up whatever your thoughts and ideas are, feel free to give it to them. Just make sure it's correct, because the journalists are going to Google it, and actually more and more journalists now are going through the CFP program. So they're learning, at least the ones who are writing personal finance articles for their career. Maybe not new journalists who are just getting in and saying, yeah, I'll write the financial articles until I can write politics or whatever it is. But the career financial planner journalists are studying. They're learning more about what we do. And if it looks a little wrong, a little fishy, a little off, they're going to know and they're going to question you on it. So just make sure it's correct. That's all. If you don't know the answer to something, feel free to refer somebody else. For instance, it comes and goes in phases, but student loans. I'm not an expert in student loans, but I know that we have other members in our chapter up here, like Jake Northrup, like Eric Roberge. We have different members up here who are accredited in student loans. They focus their practice on student loans, and they know everything there is about student loans. So if somebody reaches out to me just because I have a relationship and says, hey, we need to know such and such about a student loan. If it's a basic question, okay, I can probably answer it. But if it's more in depth, I'm going to say, you know what, you should call Jake, you should call Eric. I will set up the introduction if you want me to do that, and they will give you a much better answer than I will. That's going to gain so much respect and trust from the journalist that you're not just jumping at the chance to be quoted when you don't know the answer, and it's going to increase the chance that they come back to you for something that you are an expert in. So don't fake it. Return your calls, return their calls, their emails promptly, like immediately, because they're working on deadlines, probably quicker deadlines than you can imagine. And it builds trust, and it builds the relationship with the journalist. You really want to become the go-to resource. That's where you're headed with this. You want to, like Malik has a couple of outlets now who they call them directly. They don't go through the media query system. I'm in the same boat. I get calls or emails directly. They don't go through the system anymore, because through the system, we built this relationship. We built this trust. And it's because I give them good information, but it's also because I'm prompt. I'm there whenever they need me. It's not like you always have to be available. Hey, you're available at 10, you can say 10:30 or 11 and they're fine. You don't have to, upend your entire life for it. But to be available, or if you're not, to let them know immediately that you're not available. Just overall be responsive to them, because they're working on deadlines and they're different than your deadlines, and you want to get them to continue to utilize you, even if it's not right then and there. As I said, what you write could be used as is, so make sure it's okay with your compliance, because whatever you send in as your initial thoughts, they could just use. And I'll give you an example. When I was it's a long time ago, I was in my 20s, and a local newspaper interviewed me about whatever the topic was. And I went into the newspaper office, and they took my picture and they asked me a bunch of questions. And I gave answers that were correct, but I wasn't really thinking too much about it until the article came out and I read it. And they wrote verbatim everything I said, and I could see how many times I said the word stuff in an article as just a crutch, something like, well, we did all this and stuff, or that and stuff. I said it so many times I couldn't get through the article. I just cringed the whole entire time. So be cognizant of what you write and what you say, and record yourself. If you're on a phone call with somebody as a follow-up to something that you write in, just record yourself so you're able to play it back and listen to how you responded, and listen to what you said and how you said it. And if there are any crutches, the ums, the uhs, the thes, the stuffs that come up as you go through it, it will just help you improve. But you're not in charge of the editing, they are. So whatever comes out is okay for them to use. Again, solve the problem, keep it simple. You just want to give them enough to answer their question, to give them a quote, or to encourage them to call you for more, to follow up for more. We talked about this. I can't stress that enough. Always, 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 if you need to check with compliance, check with compliance first before you submit, because after you submit, you can't take it back. They can use it. Save everything. I have an articles file for everything I responded to, and even if they don't use it, anything I've submitted to, I keep the media query with the red button, the thing that you get from the FPA, I keep all those in a folder just so I can go back to them. So I can see what I responded to, but also you're going to get repeat requests. You're going to get, they come and go in phases. So if somebody's writing about pension lump sums, somebody else is writing about pension lump sums. If somebody is writing about PPP loans, 5 other people are writing about that, or Roth conversions, or whatever it may be, socially responsible investing. You're going to get multiple requests from different outlets for the same type of story, and you're not bound by any kind of exclusivity. You don't tell them, unless this is an understanding with a journalist ahead of time, but you're not bound to say, I've given you this, you've quoted me, and it's just yours, or it's just yours for any amount of time. It's not. It's theirs to use, but you can also send it, if you send it to CNBC, you can send it to CNN too. It's fine. There's no exclusivity. So if you keep a file for everything you've done, it saves you some work, because again, you're going to get multiple queries on similar stories. This is a long-term play, just like you tell your clients about their investments. We're not traders, we're not short-term. You figure it out over time. You just start submitting. And if you're not getting any kind of action, then you kind of pivot a little bit. Eventually, you're going to find your voice. You're going to find your opinion. You're going to find what you're comfortable either writing or speaking about. And you're going to start to be utilized. So, if it takes weeks, months, whatever it is to get your first quote, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that it's taken months, but when it hits, it finally hits. And all of a sudden, they're in 5 different things. So just don't get frustrated in the beginning, because, it's new for you if you haven't been doing this yet. And it's new for the journalist, perhaps the whole media query system, but also their relationship with you. So they may want to get to know your responses and what you're doing for a little bit first. So usually in a room, I would ask anybody who has already been using the FPA media source if they want to share any stories, good, bad, ugly, and we usually get a handful. I know Malik has been having some success on it. You can put stories in the chat if you want, and we can get to those. But I would imagine some of you have had successes, or maybe some crazy stories as well that we'd love to hear. And this training you only need to go through once, but usually when I do it up here in Massachusetts, half the room is repeats. So it's never a bad idea to come through it again. So in that case, yeah, people are using the media source, but they're just back for sort of a refresher course. Keep in mind that the journalists found you through the Financial Planning Association. So even though you're not representing the FPA, it's implied that you kind of are. So you're also representing, obviously, yourself and whatever company it is that you work for, as well as the profession. So keep all of that in mind when you're responding, whether it's written or verbal quotes. I always suggest staying positive and not going negative. So if you're anti whatever they're talking about, if you're against it, there's always, hey, that's one opinion, but here's another. There's always, I've seen that, but I've seen some issues that way. Here's how it could work better. I think you're always better off highlighting your positive angle instead of going negative. And I think that bodes well just in building character and trust. And again, just know that the FPA, your company, yourself, everything that you're a part of is sort of represented in what you say, even though obviously you're not speaking on behalf of the FPA. They found you through the FPA. And if you listen to the politicians, we're lumped in with Wall Street. We are also, Bernie Madoff is us as well. So the voice of honest advisors is being lost because there are a few bad apples that are out there. So again, if you're doing everything that we've been talking about, and you're giving honest advice, and you're backing it up, and you're not speaking about things you don't know about, and you're positively representing yourself and our profession, then I think that goes a long way to separate us from the people, the negatives out there. One Bernie Madoff kind of ruins the whole bunch, and it can be an uphill battle. But some get it. We have a congressman here in Massachusetts, Representative Seth Moulton, who gets it. Like, he calls the FPA now and says, Hey, this is going on in my district. Do you have anybody that can help us? The Mass Treasurer's Office, the Economic Empowerment Division now calls us to do webinars. So it's one of those things that the more you do this, the more you are representing the FPA and you are getting the positive word out there, and you're helping yourself, but you're also helping your chapter, the FPA of Georgia too, because that will get them higher on the map, better noticed, better searched as experts. And then it's a cycle. So you're giving good advice out there. It's coming back to the FPA, and then the FPA is going back to you when somebody calls and needs an expert again. You don't need experience. This isn't, hey, we need 5 years of on-camera experience for you to be doing this. It's not like that at all. You just need to begin. Just find your voice and start going through the media query system and the process and responding. And, if you're not getting any response back, then search the articles that you responded for and see what they did print. See what they used instead of you, because that's a good lesson too. And sooner or later, if you're studying this a little bit, you'll see what they do need, what they are looking for, and you'll start to see some success. As I mentioned, multiple stories on the same topic. They all come and go in phases, and then they're gone. It's a fast news cycle. So talking about PPP today may not be tomorrow. Next thing you know, it's going to be the election and what it means for the market, what it means for the economy. And then that will be gone. And then it will be whatever happens. I mean, no one saw COVID-19 happen. That it's sort of still ongoing, but the main financial stories related to that, they came and went. February, March, a little bit of April, and now everyone's kind of used to it, and the news cycles are on to something else again. However, you can work in CFP, FPA, fiduciary standard, anything like that is what's making you a steward of the financial planning profession. And there's not always a way to do that, but there are ways along the way to, especially I'm finding actually fiduciary standard. It's a way to put that in, because it is that term actually is more in the forefront these days. So people are more apt to understand what you're talking about when you say it. And if you're talking about searching for a planner and making sure the fiduciary standard, making sure they're CFP, whatever it is, they are more likely to use that these days. And again, that just helps our profession of financial planning. The more you can sort of weave that terminology into whatever your response is. And keep in mind, it's a conversation. This is one-on-one, even if you don't see them. So if it's a phone interview, just picture a friend sitting across the table from you. You're at a restaurant, you're at a coffee shop, you're in the office, whatever it is, you're telling a friend some information, and just picture your friend sitting, or a family member, whoever it is, sitting across from you, and you're relaying this information to them, because you're more likely to listen, and you're also less likely to shout, and just have a intimate conversation, because that's what this is. It's a conversation. It's storytelling back and forth. It's answering questions, but in story form. It's not really an interview, although it is. But if you treat it more like a conversation, it's likely to go smoother. And have content. Yes, have an opinion and have some conviction in what you're saying, but be able to back it up. You don't always need the data, but if you can reference something in the past that backs up what you're talking about, that's always good. And basically, if you love what you do, your passion is going to show. It's going to come through, whether it's on camera or whether it's in your writing. And that's really what they're looking for. They're looking for your opinion, and they're looking for you to be able to back it up with some content, and that you know and love what you're talking about. This is interesting. So Mark Twain once said, I'll read it directly: "The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause." So taking a brief pause between hearing the reporter's question and opening your mouth to provide the answer could be the difference between doing a great job and falling right on your face. I've seen it so many times on TV where the person being asked the question can't even wait for the question to get done, and they start with an answer, and their mouth is moving faster than their head. Just take a pause. It's not dead air. Just take a pause. You'll see it on TV. You see it on network TV all the time. They just take a brief pause, think about, internalize the question, and then give an answer. Because your head has a chance to catch up to your mouth at that point, and you're more likely to say what you really mean. You're more likely to listen. You're more likely to not butt in. You're more likely to not be that kid in class, in elementary school, the teacher's talking and the kid's got the hand raised the whole entire time, can't wait to ask the question. And finally, the teacher calls and says, Brad, what's your question? And I asked the question that the teacher just answered 30 seconds ago, because all I was focused on was my question, what was going to come out of my mouth. And really, it's about listening and taking a quick pause, not a dramatic pause or a Fed pause. This is a little old. But, just pause that's long enough to, let your head catch up and give a legitimate answer. Again, if you can't help, pass it on. Don't fake it. Also promote anything that you appear in: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Also, your chapter probably has a Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So Kristen Bean is our executive director up here. So anytime I'm in something, and I encourage all our members to do the same thing, push it out on your own social media resources, but also send it to the FPA, because they can do it on theirs too. And it helps everybody, and it gets the story out there more. So be a resource. Again, if you don't, there are plenty of members within your chapter probably on this Zoom call that have different expertise. And if you know the answer to something, somebody else sitting next to you on the Zoom chat probably does. That's mostly print and the media query system and how that works. We'll talk a little bit now, and then we're coming up on a quick hour, but the differences between print and TV, or sort of radio is the same way. Television is quicker. So when they come to my office, it takes them more time to set up and break down than it does to do the actual interview. They're in and out of there in about 15 minutes. The interview is about 2 of it. They set it up, and while they're setting it up, it's usually a camera, 1 light, maybe 2. Maybe they're going to pull your shades down. They're going to put a mic on you, wireless mic on your lapel somewhere. And you're going to either sit or stand, and they're going to ask you the questions. The producer or the reporter, whoever's with the camera person, will direct you. They're going to instruct you where to look. Typically, they want you to look right into the camera and say and spell your name, so they get that right, and your company and your title. After that, they tend to want you to look off camera. So the producer or the reporter will stand off camera, and then you will be answering the questions directly to them. And I'll tell you what, I've been doing this for years, and I still look dumb and foolish from time to time. You really have no control over the final edit, so ultimately don't think too much about it. But again, you're having a conversation with the reporter or with the producer. Ignore everything else around you, the lights, the camera, anybody else in your office, which happens every single time that somebody comes to my office. Somebody else in the office wants to walk by and look in and gawk and say, oh, what's going on in there? Don't pay any attention. Don't look. They're there. Just don't pay attention to them. If you're sitting, so like these people in the picture, sometimes you sit and sometimes you stand. And it's funny, usually I'm less likely to wear a jacket when I sit. I'm more likely to wear one when I stand for whatever reason. But again, avoid distractions. Your posture, so if you're wearing a jacket, or a female and you're wearing a dress, typically, and I don't know if how this is going to work on Zoom, but typically what you want to do is kind of pull down the back of the dress or the jacket so that it looks straight. And if it goes down long enough that you can sit on a little bit of it, you can do that and sit up straight, because then that's going to actually keep the coat straight. So eventually your posture is going to be straight, but leaned in just a little bit, not too much, but leaned in just a little bit. And then keep eye contact with wherever you're supposed to be looking, whether it's in the camera or the producer, the director, whoever it is. Don't start looking away or up or down. Just keep your contact on the person asking you the questions, because that'll make it more conversational. Yes, you can have facial expressions. You can chuckle if something's funny, and you can use your hands. And how you use your hands depends on how close up the shot's going to be. So typically, you can see on Zoom, but typically your upper chest area is where your hands are going to be on television anyway. And, you can move them around. You can emphasize a little bit. You don't have too much room to move. Otherwise, it looks like you're coming in and out of camera, and it becomes the focus of anybody watching the segment. You don't want that. You want the focus to be on what you're saying and on your face. But your hands can be there. If you tend to talk too much with your hands, just do this. Just put your hands like this, or do this and keep them out of camera, lower, and it will force you not to talk too much with your hands and to sit still with that slight lean forward and to give your opinion that way. That's how it, that's the look. Now, a little bit about the process for TV or radio. So I come from radio and TV, so I know what they're looking for at the end result, and I know that however I can make the editing, the writing, you write to direct, you direct to edit, and then you edit to get it on air. So however I can keep all of that in mind helps them do their job and helps them wanting to keep coming back. So Channel 5, this is how it works. This picture is me in my office, my former office. So what'll happen is I'll get an email and the producer will say, hey, we want to talk about, GE offering pension buyouts. Are you available tomorrow? And I'll write back, yes, I'm available. How's 10? Here are my 3 bullet points, my overall thought and my 3 bullet points on what I think about pension buyouts. She'll write back and say, great, we'll be there at 10. So she kind of has an idea of what I'm going to talk about. So she's thinking about questions. When she shows up, I actually have, in that 24 hours or however long I have written a complete outline. So you can see actually in this picture on the desk, the stack of papers is hers. The one sheet sort of over by me is mine. And they're both out of the camera lens. And they're just sitting on my desk, and it's simply an outline, and I make 2 copies. I make one for her and I make one for me. And it gives my elevator statement of what I think about pension buyouts, and it gives a bunch of bullet pointed notes underneath that, so that I give her a copy. She can ask me questions just based on that. And at the end of it, she takes it with her and she knows the story's done. It's written for her. She's asked the questions. And yes, she's thrown in her own questions too, but typically she'll stick to what I've written, at least generally there. And then she sees how to edit it because it's all written there in bullet point there. It makes it super easy for them. They take it with them. They just go edit the story and they can get it on the news that night. That's, quickly speaking, my process. So they call, I'm available. Here are my simple ideas. When they show up, I've elaborated a little bit and I provided a copy for them that they can take with them. So it makes their job easier for them. Now, keep in mind, this is for stories. So for the pension segment, it's not breaking news. It's a story it's going to be around for a few days. So they're going to show up, they're going to do the story, and maybe it's going to air the next day or the day after. Breaking news is vastly different. Breaking news is live and you need to be there like in an hour. So as this coronavirus was breaking at the end of March or at the end of February and through March, I would get calls at 2 o'clock saying, can you be in the studio at 4? So that's just a completely different scenario. And at that point, yes, I can. I walk in to the newsroom and literally everybody in the newsroom goes, oh God, Brad's here. Something bad happened again. It's nice to have that reputation. It's nice to be utilized, but not nice to have that reputation. So I figure out, if it's going to be the 4 o'clock news, who's the anchor, who's the director. I find them. What are we focusing on? What are we talking about? And by the way, if it's 4 o'clock news, I'm showing up at about 3:30. And here are the 3 questions we're going to ask you. Okay. I go, and also I used to go in the studio. I don't anymore because I'm 6'5" and all the anchors are short. And it looked really weird. So they found a place in the newsroom that I can broadcast from. So I'm literally on my own. I walk in, I find the information I need. I find an engineer to give me a microphone. They say 413 is going to be your segment. I go stand on an X in front of a remote control camera. No one even controls these anymore. And I put the earpiece in and the mic's on and the camera adjusts up. And then they just start talking at 413 about this segment and throw questions at me. And I'm literally I'm listening to them. I'm talking to a TV camera, and there's usually a TV monitor somewhere in there so you can see them, but that's how you're interacting with them. So all this practice of being one-on-one and being intimate and being all that comes into play if you get into a live situation, because the person may not even be there, but you have to envision in your mind that they are there, and you're just talking to that one person, even though you may actually just be standing in a room all by yourself. So the elevator statement, short and sweet, and then you're backing it up with the bullet points that they can ask questions around, and form literally a 90-second segment. That's as long as it's going to be. And if they actually utilize you enough, and it's a good enough story, and they think it's going to gain interest, they may actually take a soundbite from what you use, which is just a short sentence, which again is why anything you say can be used even out of context. And they might create a quick soundbite or a promo. So for this pension one that they did, they actually did create a promo.
Tonight at 11, companies offering cash to buy out your pension.
Thousands of dollars that you can get right now.
But is it the right move?
You only can make the choice once.
Expert advice, the pitfalls of cashing out. Tonight at 11 on Channel 5.
So that's a promo. Back to this. And the good thing about promos is if you manage to get yourself onto a promo, those things air a bunch of times. And people will actually think that's the segment. Hey, I saw you on the news doing that segment. It didn't even air yet, but okay. So it just gets you more visibility. Again, the more you build up the relationships with these media outlets, the more they're going to tweet you out or put you on Facebook or LinkedIn as well on their accounts, which is great because they always have a lot of followers. So if WCVB is going to tweet out that I'm going to be on at 4 or 4:30, then that's great. And this is all about the searches. You want potential clients. Are you going to get clients out of doing this? Maybe, maybe not. But the real result is indirectly you will, because anybody that's thinking of utilizing you for a financial planner is going to do a Google search on you. And if your name comes up first, second, third on the first page, and they see that you've been quoted in whatever it is, Yahoo Finance or CNBC, or you've done a radio segment or a TV segment or whatever it is, or you've just written your own stories and posted them on LinkedIn, which you can do too, it ups your name, it ups your search results, and people start to see you as an expert. So they're going to start to see you as an expert too. And they're more likely to, it backs up their idea of working with you. Well, other people, like him or her too, because they're utilizing him as an expert in this situation. Topical, funny stories, something like this happens. It's okay, by the way, to laugh or to crack a joke or to work in a funny, topical type of a story. I wouldn't focus on that. If it's more one of those things that when it happens, it happens. I think during COVID, I ended up going and doing a lot of TV, and I think maybe the end of one of the weeks, that one of the anchors asked, well, how is this going? How is this market drop? How is everything that's going on going to relate to car buying? Are rates going to drop? Or am I going to get a better deal? And I didn't even think twice about it. I just said, you should call the dealer and ask Maria. And everyone laughed except Maria. But it was just one of those real moments. It was funny to everybody else. And then we got into the real answer of it. But it's okay to have those moments happen, because it brings out the humanity factor in what we're trying to do here too. And people will probably relate more to something like that than rattling off statistics. So, pop culture, humor, any kind of examples you want to utilize, they all help tell your story. This is really just an example. And again, Ben Lewis is the national PR director for the Financial Planning Association. And he and I worked through these slides a couple of years ago, sort of reworked them and made the presentation a little shorter in anticipation that I would go out and do these presentations as well as him. And so this is just an example that we left in of how you think through doing this. Eventually it becomes second nature. But really, so if the importance of financial planning is the story that somebody is doing, so what's the secondary message? Well, there are different avenues you could take. Financial planning is not just about investments. You don't have to be rich, or maybe you want to take the stance of, hey, you should find somebody competent to do it. And then it's about the key thoughts and how to think through putting together your information and your response. If you want to back it up with a client story or some data, and then think about the soundbite too. Think about, you know, the middle one is the one that stands out for me. You don't need to win Powerball to need financial planning. I mean, I contrast financial planning with winning the lottery all the time, because everyone plays the lottery and people can relate to that. It's not financial planning, it's luck. And financial planning is actually planning. So it's easy to make the contradiction and the positive thoughts for financial planning by relating into something that a lot of people play or participate in. Drip marketing, really, you know, you want to push it out and you want to increase your Google searches and your company searches, and you want people to be able to find you, potential clients and other media resources as well. But, you know, prospective clients, you can actually push this out to. If you have a list of clients potential clients that you've spoken with, they're not clients yet, they're, you know, maybe you're not on the verge, they're thinking about it, they're, you know, hesitating, you know, whatever you do that's related, don't blanket everybody with what you do all the time, but there's probably somebody specific that you could send what you were just quoted into. So the pension story, my example that I showed you, I have a client who's only a client because he's a trustee. It's not his money. He's a trustee in someone else's trust, so I talk with him about that. But I know that he works for the railroad. So I know he's going to have a railroad pension, and he's going to have to make decisions on railroad pensions at some point. So I can send him this pension segment. Hey, I thought this would be right up your alley, thought you'd be interested in this. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, that's great, thank you, it does. And I should talk to you more about this type of a thing. So it can help you that way. You know, I have a media section on my website that I try to catalog everything on there. Recent appearances, blog posts, you can put all that on there. I used to have it, you know, we've only been my company for 2 months, but the company I was at, I had the media section broken down to TV, radio, articles, and videos, because I'll do also a lot of man on the street videos for the FPA and just for myself as well. And I just catalog those differently. So you can do those as well. It makes you an expert in people's eyes to just go out and talk to people about financial planning on whatever your expertise, you know, tends to be. Keep a list of all the journalists you've engaged with, because you want to stay engaged with them. You want to check in from time to time. You want to possibly pitch stories to them from time to time. And you want them to think of you when something comes up that they may have forgotten about you for. So really, you just want to stay in front of them just as much as you want to stay in front of your clients, prospective clients. And all of this is going to help you do that. So it's a lot of info in an hour. Again, I'm sorry that it's sometimes what we do is we'll do a panel discussion, or we actually will set up mock interviews. I'll play the part of the press, and we use, you know, you in the audience to answer the questions, and we can work on, you know, how you sit, how you stand, and responses and things like that. It's obviously a little more difficult to do that on Zoom, but hopefully it wasn't a fire hose of information, that you were able to take something from this and you'll begin to, you know, use this as you move forward and start to participate in the media query system. So again, we'll start to take any questions, but I'll leave you. So information. So what's going to happen? There's Ben's info, and the next card is mine. But so Ben Lewis is the Director of Public Relations, and I'm going to email him all of your information for being on this. And it'll probably take a few days, but he'll send you an email with what you need to sign for the FPA. Once you do that, as long as you're a member in good standing of the FPA and you're a CFP, you'll start to get media queries into your inbox. Now, after you return this letter to Ben and it's like 2 weeks and you haven't received anything, let Ben know or let me know, because that usually means there's some issue in the syncing up with you to the media query system. We've had that happen. Not a lot. On occasion that happens. But so if you go a couple of weeks and you don't get anything in your inbox after you return it to Ben, then let one of us know and we'll look into it. Usually it's just a box that needs to be checked or something that's going on. So that's Ben. this is me. You can feel free to reach out to me as well, and I'm happy to answer your questions then, or I'm happy to answer any questions that you have now too.
All right, Brad, thank you so much. That was awesome. I've sat in through this training probably about five times now, and I learned something new every time.
Yeah, we do get a lot of repeats, because whether Ben's doing it or I'm doing it, we each change it up. And obviously with Zoom, it's changed up a lot. But yeah, you get different insights. And when the participants can interact in the room in person, you get different insights there too. So yeah, you only need to do it once, but I think it's worth doing. I've seen 2 or 3 other people do this, and I'll go just to sit in and learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have any questions thus far. So guys, put them in the question and answer box. Raise your hand, whatever you want to do. This is honestly the best time to do it. You have Brad here. He can answer a lot of different questions. There's no question too big or too small. And now is the avenue to do it. But until we get a couple more in here, I want to just kind of, I guess, say a couple of things as well too. Get your point of view on it. One of the most powerful things that I didn't realize in the beginning with FPA Media Source, because usually when I started, I just wanted to. I started this business fairly young, so I didn't have the gray hair effect, if you will. So I wanted to get my name out there so they could just be like, hey, this guy's an expert. He knows what he's talking about. But when I started my firm, what I saw what happened was SEO took off with my firm. For someone that doesn't know what that means, that search engine optimization. So to Brad's point, when people go Google you, or when people are just Googling advisors in the area, if you're still looking to grow your business, grow your practice, or just move up in the rankings of your firm, if you will, this will do that tremendously. I think my first article that I was ever featured in, I think it was like Market Watch, I think, but it took me about 30 days to get my first inquiry. So I think you touched on that too as well at one point.
Yeah, it's easy to get frustrated. You submit to 5 or 10 of these and you don't get any results, and you say, oh, well, they're using everybody else and not me. But eventually, as I said, you find your voice and you find what they're looking for, and you will start to get noticed. Just use it as a learning experience until you get quoted. Why aren't they quoting me? Should I be thinking a little bit more outside the box? Should I be providing more background data? Whatever it might be, to just up your chances.
Yeah, something else that I realized over time too as well is that you mentioned it on one of your slides too. They're just starving for content right now. So there's a lot of opportunities. They need different voices and things of that nature. So you want to just try, just do it. You want to commit to it too as well. I remember when I first started, I was doing I was making sure I responded to at least 2 inquiries a week. And then it got to the point where it wasn't responded to inquiries a week. It was get quoted twice a month, so that I can post at least twice a month that I am being quoted somewhere. And at one point, I think I was only getting quoted like once a month, but people think that you're getting quoted all the time. It's the perception. It's the perception.
Yeah, it's true. And to your point of, yes, they need content. It's 24/7 news these days, and they have to fill up the space and they have to get clicks. And so in a lot of cases, I mentioned some journalists are going through the CFP program, and I know one who just actually became a CFP. But on the other side, there are younger journalists who are just writing the financial column until they can write what they really want, and they don't know anything about this. So you're really teaching them. Whatever they're writing about, you're actually teaching them the topic. Somebody said, hey, you should go write a story on this, and so they are. But you need to sort of teach them along the way too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing that I realized too as well, the bigger the news source or the bigger the outlet, the more research that they're going to do or they're going to put behind it. Typically, some of those guys, they like the bigger companies, CNBC, things of that nature. They will call me when I submit something versus the smaller ones. To your point earlier, you got to make sure that what you write is what you feel comfortable with, because they might just take it and run with it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So all right, we got a couple of questions. So Brad, do you agree with the notion that any publicity is good publicity? Do you get concerned about being painted with opinions associated with a given channel, such as, Fox News might slant heavily to the right, while MSNBC might slant heavily to the left, simply by appearing on that channel?
Well, I'll answer that one first. I never take that into consideration. I just answer based on, do I think I'm the right person to answer this question? So to me, I don't really care where it shows up. I don't take that into account. I mean, I guess if I'm on the ABC affiliate here, which is sort of middle of the road. It's not left or right. So I don't think about it. I guess if I were on the Fox affiliate, as much as I'm on the other channel, I'd have to give that some thought. But in my case, I don't. And if you're just answering sporadically, I don't think you really have to worry about that. Now, as far as good publicity and bad publicity, or any publicity, you want it to be good publicity. And if it's publicity because you're disagreeing on something, that's one thing. If it's publicity because you're wrong on something, and they can prove that, then that's not good publicity. So you don't want that, and you want to make sure you do your research and your homework before you let somebody quote you. But usually journalists, at least in our profession, aren't that vindictive. They're not trying to, a lot of times, get you to, say something that they can attack you on, unless the show is known for that. And if that's the case, going in that there's a chance for that. But and I've actually seen that happen with somebody. Somebody actually went on Fox and got into a fight, but but he was well prepared for it, and he did okay. But for the most part, I'm not really too concerned where I get quoted, unless it becomes a regular thing.
All right. So my last firm that I was at was on a was on a show, was on the Sean Hannity show. And I remember that some of the clients liked it, some didn't, and then the owner had to say, "Hey, listen, we're just giving financial advice. Like, we're not doing anything else." But there was some backlash with that. I do remember when I was there a few years ago.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard that before, at least in our profession. I mean, if you're on there and talking about politics in any way, then for sure that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess maybe you have to take that into consideration. But I know people who go on the Fox affiliate up here. I mean, they're just giving general planning advice. It's not specific to
Correct.
Whether you're Republican, Democrat, have money, don't have money, that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe that's different in different areas of the country too.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Good point. Good point. We have another question here for John Chrome, and then I guess I'll answer this too. I'll ask this twofold. He didn't put this in here, but it kind of sparked another question. It says, "Is there an ability to filter topics, accessibility through FPA media source? I guess if you're an expert in one area, can you just receive inquiries based on that area? And if you are considered an expert, like you don't have your CFP, but you're a JD or a CPA or a CHSC or a CLU, can you still get FPA media source?"
So I don't think you can filter, because I get a lot of stuff that I shouldn't answer. And I haven't figured out a way to filter that out yet, but I'll ask Ben that question. But I don't think there is. I think they just come into your inbox and you just delete it or not delete it. As far as being a CFP, that's the FPA national requirement. So although you have all the other, certifications, they do require that you be a CFP to answer the media queries. Not to mean, if your local FPA chapter, FPA Georgia, the PR director gets a query from somebody, directly or local or regionally, you can probably answer that one. But to be a part of the national system, they require you to be a CFP.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that something that I guess you can ask them about, like with CHFCs and stuff like that, or because I know that their curriculum is similar in a way. So is that something that they ever talked about or discussed or anything like that?
They haven't. I mean, I don't mind asking. That's fine. But I just know that that's always been the requirement in the past.
Yeah. Wow. I never knew that. That was something that I learned today too. So, let's see what else here. Trying to see some other best practices for you guys before we let you go. That I've experienced or that I've learned personally. Let's see. I think Brad hit on a lot of good points. Some of the journalists that I'm friends with now, I've provided, I guess, good content for them. One of them, I gave them a story, and they was able to sell that story to Motley Fool about 401ks. So I actually put a little money in their pocket in a way, right?
Great.
So I also respond very quickly. So what Brad said about that is something that's very, very important. I even went a step further, and on my Calendly, which most folks know what that is, the Calendly would automatically set up your meetings for you. I set up a Calendly section just for reporters and things of that nature. So if they want to schedule a call, I send them that link, and they can pick whatever time that they want, that they feel is best. So I try to make their job as easy as possible. I send them the links. I send them links to, also guys, also too as well, make sure that you kind of have some, don't let this stop you. Don't let this deter you, but also get some professional like shots, headshots and shots that are not just like, your headshots where you're just all stiff and looking like that there. You want to get some relaxed. You're in the backyard, you're in your office, you're typing, also get some shots, because they're going to start asking you for headshots and different shots and more. And Brad, you might be able to talk to this, but more outlets are discussing or wanting more relaxed pictures. Is kind of what I've been seeing over the last couple of months. I'm not sure how you feel about that.
Yeah, I agree. They want, they don't want the formal suit and tie shot so much anymore, especially in this day and age. I mean, people are doing network news from their homes on Skype, So all of that has changed, and meaning, I'm wearing just a short sleeve shirt now. I could do a segment in this now. It'd be fine. And so a more relaxed but still professionally done and professionally looking shot is good. And your website, have an updated good website for people to look at as well.
Absolutely. So to kind of give you guys a little bit more idea about that, right now I'm currently writing for Business Insider, and they told me, hey, Malik, send me a new picture with every article that you write. And I'm like, geez Louise, guys, hold on. That's a lot of pictures. But so we kind of agreed to just sending them about 5 or 6, but I was able to have a different shots because I paid a photographer. We went out, we took about 500 shots. They gave me the best 100, 200. You guys know how that goes, so they gave you the best 100, 200, and then I just sent them from there. So make sure you have that on hand. I have all that stuff on my website. They can easily pull it. I also, when I send in requests, I reference my website to the page where they can see other things as well too. And I think that if they do any ounce of research, they're like, okay, this guy gets quoted all the time. Let's use his quote. He must know what he's talking about over the others. Right. So I think that kind of helped increase my selection process with media quotes as well too.
And that's really the goal. You want them to utilize you more, and you want the potential clients to find you that way too.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that's it. We don't have any more questions here. I didn't see nothing in the chat, nothing in the question and answer box. So I guess Brad, I'm not sure if you have anything. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, I would just say, this is a process. For some, it takes longer than others, but if you are committed to this is a great FPA resource to help you get out there in the media and eventually to help you grow your business. So hopefully you've all gained something from it, and hopefully you'll take the first step and let this start to benefit you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Brad, we thank you so much. We love you guys up there in the Massachusetts chapter. I guess you're our brother or sister chapter, or I'm not sure how or sister chapter. I'm not sure which one, but but you're a close chapter of ours.
Yeah.
We utilize a lot of experts from Boston up there. We had Adam Minsky. We got Bonnie. She's from Boston.
She's great. Yeah.
You know, we speak to Erica quite a bit. So, and we speak to you. So
yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries, and we appreciate it. And I'll stick on to a couple of guys to a couple of you guys file out. But meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
All right, have a good day.
See you, Blake.
Bye-bye. See you, bud. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. All right, that's great. All right, Monica, we can wrap it up. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great weekend.